What's up everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about the performance of the 808 Ultra series versus the performance of the Wörthersee 12 series. These pairs are absolutely incredible, a few of my favorite performers, and I've talked a lot about them, gotten a lot of questions about which pair is better. So let's dive straight into it and start with the traction performance. For the 808 series, actually everything about these two shoes is the same apart from the materials, so that's when I'll talk separately about them. But for traction performance, we have a GCU and Tough RB outsole, with the GCU being this small part here in the forefoot. And for the Wörthersee 12, we have a full-length GCU outsole, and in my opinion, the Wörthersee 12 performs better. But I actually think that the 808 Ultra V2 is the most durable. On an indoor court, the bite of the Wörthersee 12 is hard to beat. That's curvy flow-like bite, as you can see on the screen. It's absolutely amazing, stops on a dime. It's an incredibly hard stop, has a very loud squeak. Not that that's important for performance, but if you're into that sort of thing, there you have it. The 808 Ultra, the bite is not as aggressive, the squeak is not as loud, and it handles outer courts slightly better. Dust pickup is an issue on the 808 line, but not an issue on the Wörthersee 12 from my personal experience. So in my opinion, traction performance hands down has to go to the Wörthersee 12. For the cushioning setup, it's a little bit more interesting, as we have a really cool feature here on the 808 Ultra line. We have a full-length Super Boom drop-in midsole, and then on the Wörthersee 12 we have 2 layers of Super Boom with a carbon fiber plate in the middle. So that is really pick your poison right there. Both setups work extremely well, and in my opinion it comes down to what you actually prefer. Do you want a drop-in midsole setup, or do you want a regular cushioning setup? If you're not familiar with what a drop-in midsole actually is, so if this is maybe your first pair of basketball shoes, drop-in midsole is essentially a setup where the cushioning lies directly underneath your foot. So on your normal shoes or other basketball shoes, you can have a normal insole or an ortholite insole you can just take out and replace with something else. Here on the 808 series, you cannot do that because all the cushioning and a lot of the support is in that drop-in midsole that's exactly underneath your foot, and you don't have that regular drop-in midsole like here on the Wörthersee 12. Here on the inside you can see the regular drop-in midsole, and then here in the midsole of the shoe, the actual midsole, we have the cushioning setup. It's a little bit different. On the 808 you definitely have more stepping comfort, you feel the cushioning more as well, it's slightly more bouncy. But on the Wörthersee 12 you have that insane carbon fiber plate inside or in between those 2 layers of Super Boom, so it's also a very bouncy ride and setup. Impact protection is pretty much the same. You're maybe slightly lower to the ground in the Wörthersee 12. It's slightly more responsive as well. I prefer the Wörthersee 12 to be honest, simply also because my feet are relatively wide and usually don't handle drop-in midsoles as well. But in my opinion, I can't say which is actually better overall, because it really comes down to what you prefer or what you would rather have. And I talked about the pros already and about the cons as well. For the support features, this is where I also have to talk a little bit about the differences between the two 808 models. It's more of a material, from a material standpoint, but because the materials are thicker on the Volume 2, the support definitely is better. On the Wörthersee 12, you also have excellent support features. I mentioned the carbon fiber plate already. On some colorways, we have some carbon fiber-like plates here in the heel. You can't see them as well here, but essentially it's this piece right here. It's another TPU frame. We have a heel corner and then those 2 TPU side pieces here. On some colorways they actually look like carbon fiber, but it was not carbon fiber. But that also adds, no matter if it's carbon fiber or not, adds a lot of support in the heel area, and then the lacing system works really well too. So for torsional support, you're perfectly good to go. You've also got a really nice heel to toe transition and a lot of propulsion out of the shoe. The same can be said for the 808 Ultra Volume 2. Especially because we have this new upper technology. It's actually 3D printed, or with a new printing technology, it says on the Wörthersee website. So it really hugs around your foot well, keeps your foot on your footbed. It's slightly more stiff than on the regular 808, so that is a downside. And if I had to choose or say which one is better between the V2 and the Wörthersee 12, it's a tie, and between the regular 808 and the Wörthersee 12, the Wörthersee 12 does have better supportive features or feels more supportive on foot. Now from a material standpoint, we really have the biggest difference between the V1 and V2, or the regular one and the V2. As you can see here on the V2, it's more plasticky, and the regular version is a little bit more breathable, a little bit thinner and softer around your foot as well. Both these pairs are 100% synthetic, so on the right pair we have more plastic overlays, but underneath we have that mesh-like upper as well. And on the regular 808 we really only have that mesh-like upper all around the shoe essentially. There's some models on the V2 that also use synthetic leather overlays, and on the Waveweight 12 it's a little bit more complicated, as on this colorway and the second colorway I have, the Boulevard colorway, we have only synthetic materials and synthetic leather materials. But the first colorway I tried, where you can also see some clips on screen, the Obsidian colorway was called, that had a small patch of pigskin leather on the tongue, and the main reason why I had those was because I had so many questions from my followers asking about the performance of the Waveweight 12. And for those of you that are not familiar, I'm vegan, so I don't use shoes that use animal-based products or animal-based parts. And I made kind of an exception. I mean, it's not somebody forcing me to do it, so it's my own choice essentially. And I really don't do it anymore, don't use shoes that have leather materials. But I made that exception, or that rule, so to say, to be able to make a review, because I thought there won't be any colorways without actual animal-based materials. And then like a month after, we got the Liberty colorway, which I like even better from a look standpoint, and now the Boulevard colorway, it's also all synthetic. But that's it for the materials. So if you get a pair, essentially the tongue doesn't really have that much of an impact anyways on the performance. It's just that really small patch here up here that was genuine leather on the other pair. So I couldn't honestly really feel a difference, but it just grosses me out to have like a dead skin of a dead animal here on my shoe. From a performance standpoint, you can feel the difference, but for the rest of the materials on the Waveweight 12, they're very soft, very thin. The shoe is extremely light as well, the lightest shoe in the Waveweight lineup, which is insane, as it's their best model with the most cushioning essentially. And it's also adequately padded. Not crazy padded, but there is padding in the areas where needed the most. So for example, here on the inside of the tongue, we've got some really nice pillows. The heel area is very comfortable as well. And then the rest of the shoe is rather minimalistic, but because the materials are so nice and soft, you don't really need more padding there or more layers of materials. On the 805 Ultra, there is padding in the heel on both pairs, and the forefoot is a little different because on the V2 it's a little bit more stiff. And the tongue has more padding on the V2 as well. That's something you definitely need to take into account when deciding which pair you want to get, because the tongue does feel more comfortable, as on the regular my bad, I'm getting all confused with the V1s or 805s or whatever. On the regular 805 Ultra, the laces do cut into your feet a tiny little bit, so make sure to take that into account. From an overall material standpoint, I definitely also give this category to the Waveweight 12, as I think they feel way better on foot, are lighter, just as supportive, and overall just more comfortable. Now for the fit of the shoes, the 808 line in general, so also the past models, have been very narrow, essentially also because most shoes with a drop-in midsole tend to be very narrow, and that's the case for these two. I can't really wear them for long amounts of time, simply because they will pinch into my wide midfoot a lot. Like at the end of your pinky toe, a little bit further down, that's where my feet are very wide, and that's why I can't really play with them. The toe box is actually adequately wide, so my toes don't have any issues, but just as I said, the midfoot area. On the Waveweight 12, I somehow don't have that issue. The toe box is a little bit more narrow, maybe, but the midfoot area is actually kind of wider, and because the materials are so soft, they actually conform to your feet very well. So for me, the Waveweight 12 fits me better, that's why I play with them more. But for example, if you have more narrow feet, then the 808 line will probably fit you better. And last but not least, in terms of value for money, the retail price of the Waveweight 12 is very high, around $200 or 180 euros. So that really is a high-end performer. In my opinion, they're totally worth it if you have the money. But simply in terms of value for money, the 808 line definitely is better, because you can get them for $140, like $140, 130 euros, which is considerably less for performance that is almost as good, and on some levels just as good in terms of cushioning maybe. So you really have to decide for yourself. If you have the money to get the Waveweight 12, I would highly recommend it, as they're an overall amazing performer. But if you rather watch out for your bucks, or in general, if you have the money but you just rather have a bang for your buck pair, then go with the 805 Ultra line. You can find an affiliate link and discount code for the Waveweight website in the description box down below. Discount code is LucasTimur10, but unfortunately the 808 line and the Waveweight 12 line are not included in the discount series at the moment. That can change in the future. They were already included in the past, so you can just try it out depending on when you see this video. If you see it right after uploading, they're not included, but if you see it maybe like 5 months after I uploaded it, there's a good chance that at least the 805 line or the 805 Ultra line will be included, as some newer pairs will have come out already. And if you want to buy them right after I uploaded this video, I would still appreciate if you could cop through the link in the description box, as it supports me and my content. With all that being said, that's my take on the Waveweight 12 versus the 808 Ultra / 808 Ultra Volume 2. Hopefully that's the last time I have to say it for today, because I'm getting really mixed up with all the names already. Let me know what you think. Maybe you think that the 808 line is better. I think the Waveweight 12 overall is the best basketball shoe at the moment in 2026, so that's why they also came on top here. I really appreciate it if you could leave a like on this video, comment your thoughts as I said, and of course subscribe to my channel. Have a good one and see you next time.